Hi, I'm Tricia Morris at Club Scrap with a few tips about the Fiskars guillotine style trimmer. Now this is my personal model of the trimmer that I've been using for several years now. And one of the first things you'll notice about this trimmer right away is that it's very, very lightweight. It doesn't compact to a smaller size by any means, but the blade does lock on a little notch at the bottom corner of the unit. So when you're carrying it around, I typically just put the blade back into the notch so that it's secured for the most part. You don't want to be throwing it around, and you can easily carry it around. It's extremely light. It's made of recycled plastics, which is another cool feature, and I just can throw this in a tote bag and take it with me to wherever I'm crafting, and it is always for sure out at my work surface when I am trimming. A lot of people ask about the blade itself. It is a self-sharpening blade, which is another great advantage. I'm a prolific trimmer of paper. I do it every day for my job, and the blade still works great. Now the box will say that it can cut, I believe, 10 sheets of copy paper at a time. So like a copy paper would be a light text weight paper. I'd say I'm comfortable with maybe 6 sheets at a time. And if I'm using an 80-pound cover weight, which is a typical weight that we use here at Club Scrap, otherwise known as maybe a cardstock, you can probably do 2 to 3 sheets depending on how heavy it is. Like an 80-pound cover weight, maybe 2 sheets at a time. 65-pound weight, maybe 3. And I actually cut folding board. You can hear how heavy this is, and even mat board. This is as heavy as I'll go. This is heavier than cereal box material. So this blade is a real workhorse. Again, it's self-sharpening, and it does a great job. Now, one of the other things I really love about the trimmer is that this ridge here across the top helps to make sure that my paper is level with the blade so that I get a nice 90-degree angle from the top of the sheet with my cut. So when you unlock the blade, always make sure that the paper is going into the trimmer and resting on that notch. And then, you know, I always point out that the top row of numbers here are the centimeters, and then below that are the inch markings. You'll also find that there are inches at the top, the middle, and the bottom of the trimmer, which is kind of handy as well. There's a column printed on the base every 1/4 inch, which is super handy. That's typically the measurements we use here at Club Scrap for our trimming. We're going to be cutting at the nearest 1/4 inch for the most part. So if I want to find 6 1/4, I go to the whole number first. 6, I go to the left, 1 vertical column, and then I know I'm at 6 1/4. That's all there is to it. Now you'll notice that I pushed down on this clear bar before I brought my blade down. That's a critical thing and a really handy feature of this trimmer as well. Now let's say I want to cut at 8 1/2 this time, so I'll find that 8, go to the left 2 vertical columns, and then push down on the clear bar. That prevents the paper from moving around while the blade comes down. Other trimmers don't have this piece, and it can kind of be a problem with accuracy. And then once you kind of get used to it, that whole pressing down thing will become automatic. One thing that's really cool too about this trimmer is that I can cut a sliver. So let me just show you how that works. If I just bring this paper to the edge and I move it just a hair, check out the size of a sliver I can get from the end of that blade. It's really pretty amazing. Now, if you're using the trimmer to cut something very small, sometimes a trimmer this size is a little bit difficult to work with, but let me show you a cool trick. If you're just trimming a really small piece, you can always bring it so that the top edge of the piece isn't aligned with the measurement line right here where the numbers marking the inches are. And there's a straight line there, so you can make it level at that point, or you can go to the midpoint as well, where you'll find yet another set of inch markings that you can follow along. Again, your index finger on the clear bar allows the cut to safely occur, and again, will be very accurate. Now, let's say you're trimming something and you get something sticky on the underside of the stabilizing bar here. All you need to do is just gently pull out at the top end very carefully, and that's going to release this piece from the notch at the top of the unit. And then at the bottom, you can just pull up a little bit, and that will release this notch here as well. To replace it, you just follow the steps in the reverse order. So I'm going to push this down into the notch at the bottom, and then this will bend slightly so I can insert it back into the notch at the top after cleaning it. Now, every time you cut, you will also be able to visually see the edge of that silver blade, which is another feature I really like. I can see exactly where the blade's gonna make contact with the paper, and that can be really handy for your trimming. So if you can't tell already, I am a huge fan of this particular piece of equipment. I can't imagine scrapbooking or crafting or doing anything paper related without it. So get one of these for your craft room and you won't regret it.